When you picture the United States, chances are your mind immediately conjures up the iconic New York skyline, those towering skyscrapers, the bustling city streets, the energy that never seems to sleep. Or maybe you think of California's sun-drenched beaches, where palm trees sway and crowds gather along the Pacific, scenes made famous by countless movies, TV shows, and pop culture. But if you look at a map, you'll notice something striking, a vast, almost forgotten expanse in the middle of the country. This is a region that rarely makes headlines or appears in glossy travel magazines, yet it covers thousands of miles and is home to a unique American story. Here, the land seems to go on forever, with skies so wide and open that they make you feel both small and free. The horizon stretches endlessly, broken only by the occasional tree or distant farmhouse. If you were to draw a circle around the geographic center of the nation, you'd find that fewer people live inside it than in the city of Los Angeles alone. In fact, some entire states, like Wyoming, North Dakota, and Nebraska, have populations smaller than many single neighborhoods in coastal cities. States like Montana and Wyoming, with their breathtaking landscapes and rugged beauty, are home to fewer residents than many cities on the coasts. Life here moves at a different pace, shaped by distance, weather, and tradition. But this emptiness isn't just about endless farmland or a lack of entertainment. It's about a way of life that's deeply connected to the land, to community, and to a sense of independence that's hard to find elsewhere. The reasons for this emptiness are complex. History, geography, and economics have all played a part, pushing people toward the coasts and leaving the heartland with wide-open spaces. Railroads, highways, and shifting industries have shaped where people settled, and where they left. Yet, the story of the heartland is one of resilience. Families here have weathered droughts, economic downturns, and changing times, building tight-knit communities and finding meaning in the rhythms of rural life. To truly understand why this region remains so sparsely populated, we have to challenge our assumptions. We need to look beyond the familiar images of the coasts and consider the forces that have shaped the center of America. The center of the country isn't a failure or a forgotten place, it's a testament to the unique challenges, history, and character that define this region. Its people have adapted, persevered, and created a culture all their own. So let's set aside our mental maps and explore what really shapes the empty heart of America, a place where the land, the past, and the people come together in ways that might just surprise you. To truly understand why the American heartland feels so empty today, we need to look back at the long sweep of history and the choices that shaped the nation's settlement patterns. The story of the heartland is one of geography, ambition, and the relentless search for opportunity. A story that left a lasting mark on the very center of the country. In the earliest days, colonists arriving from Europe clustered along the East Coast, building towns and cities close to the Atlantic. The Appalachian Mountains loomed as a formidable barrier, keeping most settlers from venturing westward for decades. These mountains weren't just a physical obstacle, they also represented the edge of the known world for many early Americans. When the urge to expand finally broke through, it was often driven by dreams of quick fortune or new beginnings. The gold rush sent thousands racing to California, while others sought fertile land in Oregon or religious freedom in Utah. But in their haste, many settlers simply bypassed the vast grassy expanse of the Great Plains, seeing it as a place to cross, not to call home. The arrival of the railroads in the 19th century changed the landscape, carving lines of steel across the prairie. Towns sprang up along these routes, but they were often isolated outposts, surrounded by miles of open land. These settlements depended on the railroad for survival, and many faded away when the trains stopped coming. The main purpose of these railroads was to connect the booming cities of the East with the promise of the West. The heartland was a corridor, a bridge between two coasts, rather than a destination in itself. The focus was always on moving people and goods through, not on building up the center. The government tried to encourage settlement with the Homestead Act, offering free land to anyone willing to farm it. But the Great Plains proved a harsh teacher. The soil was often poor, water was scarce, and the climate could swing from drought to blizzard. Many who tried to make a life here found the challenges overwhelming. Over time, countless small farms failed, and those who stayed had to adapt. Agriculture in the Midwest became increasingly industrialized, with larger farms and fewer people needed to work the land. Machines replaced hands, and rural communities shrank, as families moved away in search of better prospects. Meanwhile, the coasts were booming. Factories, ports, and new industries drew millions to cities on the Atlantic and Pacific, offering jobs and the promise of a better life. The Heartland, by contrast, was often seen as a place to pass through, a vast in-between, rather than a land of opportunity. This pattern of movement and settlement set the stage for the emptying of the Heartland. Towns that once hoped to grow into cities instead dwindled, their main streets growing quiet as people left for the coasts or larger urban centers. Generation after generation, Americans followed the pull of opportunity, and, for most, that meant heading to the edges of the continent. The highways and railroads that crisscrossed the Midwest became the routes of departure, not arrival. The result is a region built on a foundation of sparse settlement, a patchwork of small towns and isolated farms, separated by miles of open land. This legacy still shapes the Heartland today, influencing everything from its economy to its culture. The echoes of these historical choices are easy to spot on today's population maps. The Heartland stands out as a vast, lightly populated space, even as cities on the coast continue to swell. In the end, the American Heartland remains a land defined by its open spaces, a place where history, geography, and the pursuit of opportunity have left more room for sky than for people. Geography explains why the Heartland stayed empty. The Great Plains are vast and flat, but the real challenge is water. Much of the region lies in the rain shadow of the Rockies, making it dry and tough for traditional farming. East of the 100th meridian, crops can grow. West of it, the land gets drier and less forgiving. Early settlers struggled with drought and crop failure, forcing many to leave. The Ogallala Aquifer later allowed irrigation, but it's being depleted faster than it can refill. This limits how many people the land can support. The sheer distances between towns make daily life and access to services difficult. Without major rivers or easy transportation, cities grew slowly. The Heartland's geography demands resilience and adaptation. Only the most determined have stayed. The Heartland's weather is as tough as its land. Summers bring searing heat, winters, deep freezes and blizzards. Tornado Alley runs through the center, with violent storms a regular threat. Droughts can devastate crops and communities, as seen in the Dust Bowl. These extremes add stress and uncertainty to daily life. Many people choose milder climates elsewhere, leaving the Heartland sparsely populated. Living here means facing the sky as an adversary. It takes real fortitude to call this place home. Today, the economy drives people away from the Heartland. Jobs in tech, finance, and services cluster in big cities, mostly on the coasts. Rural areas are left with fewer opportunities, leading young people to leave for better prospects. This brain drain makes it even harder for small towns to grow. Without large employers, cities struggle to attract new residents or businesses. Isolation and limited transportation add to the challenge. The result: shrinking towns and booming cities elsewhere. The Heartland's remoteness feels like a disadvantage in a connected world. Life on the coast is fast, crowded, and full of opportunity. People live close together with endless career paths and cultural events. The pace is quick, the energy high, and anonymity easy to find. In the Heartland, life is slower and more spread out. Communities are smaller, more intimate and deeply connected to the land. The climate is harsher, demanding respect and preparation. The coasts offer diversity and excitement, but at a high cost of living and constant motion. The Heartland offers space, stability, and a strong sense of community, but fewer options. Most Americans have chosen the coasts, but the Heartland's trade-offs appeal to those seeking roots and quiet. The divide is as much about lifestyle as location. To truly understand why people stay in the Heartland, you have to listen to their stories. Stories woven from hardship, hope, and a deep sense of belonging. These are not just tales of survival, but of resilience, pride, and the unbreakable bonds that tie people to the land and to each other. Take David, a Nebraska farmer whose connection to his land runs deeper than the soil itself. To outsiders, his fields might look like endless emptiness, but to David, every acre is a chapter in his family's story, a living memory of those who came before him. For David, leaving would mean turning his back on a legacy built over generations, a legacy of hard work, sacrifice, and love for the land. The barns, the fences, even the old tractors are reminders of his ancestors' dreams and struggles. The hardships are real: unpredictable weather, falling crop prices, and the heartbreak of watching young people move away. Yet the connection to place and history runs so deep that it becomes a source of strength, not just a burden. For David, life is about roots that anchor him to his past and give meaning to his present. It's not just about chasing opportunity, but about honoring where he comes from. Then there's Sarah, a teacher in Kansas who returned home after college, drawn back by something she couldn't find in any city. Her friends thought she was crazy for coming back, but Sarah treasures the sense of belonging that comes from being part of a close-knit community, where everyone looks out for each other. She knows her students' families, their struggles and their dreams, and she feels she can make a real difference in their lives, something that's hard to find in a bigger place. Of course, small-town life has its challenges: limited dating options, everyone knowing your business, and the occasional feeling of isolation. But these are balanced by a powerful support system, where neighbors become like family. When Sarah's car broke down on a lonely road, neighbors arrived to help before she could even call for a tow. In moments like these, the true spirit of the Heartland shines through. For people like David and Sarah, the Heartland isn't empty or forgotten. It's a place filled with meaning, connection, and purpose. Their stories reveal the powerful pull of heritage and community, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing you belong. For some, that sense of home and history is worth more than any city lights could ever offer. Staying in the Heartland is about more than jobs or weather. Family ties run deep, with generations living close together and supporting each other. The culture values self-reliance, hard work, and humility. Many find city life stressful and impersonal, preferring the quiet and freedom of open space. The lower cost of living allows for homeownership and a comfortable life on a modest income. This financial stability is a major draw. But above all, it's about loving the land itself. Residents speak of breathtaking sunsets, profound silence, and star-filled skies. The beauty of the Heartland is subtle but powerful. For those who stay, it's a form of wealth that can't be measured. What makes a place feel like home? Most Americans choose opportunity and excitement, flocking to the coasts and cities, but the Heartland offers a different definition. Home as identity, history, and belonging. It's where family roots run deep and community matters. The emptiness isn't a problem, it's part of America's character. The vastness shapes resilience, independence, and a unique culture. The Heartland is the quiet soul of a restless nation. It's full of history, struggle, and beauty. Families who stay pass down a quiet strength. Understanding the empty center is understanding America itself. For some, true wealth is found not in crowds, but in the beauty and space of the open land.